So students, you can just raise your hand. We'll ask you to unmute yourself and ask your question. Or if you'd prefer to ask your questions in the chat, you can also do that. Or if you'd rather wait for some more students to come in and ask their questions so you can learn, it's completely up to you. We'll be available for you for the entire 1 hour till 6 p.m. So it's in your hands how you'd like to run this. So for the students who have just joined the call, this is an open office hour session. So you can come by at any time during this 1 hour to ask your questions. The entire FRT team is here to answer any questions that you might have about the FRT journey. You can either raise your hand and we'll ask you to come off on mute and ask your question, or you can post your question in the chat and we'll answer it in the chat itself. So this is completely up to you. Make the most of this, especially if there are any concerns that you're having or any issues that you're having with your FRT process or the project especially. Now's the time for you to go ahead and ask your questions as well. So we'll wait for anyone to go ahead and ask their questions. So to answer a question that has just come in on the chat from Kushveer regarding the benefits of the Future Ready Talent Internship. So Kushveer, all the information is also available on our FRT homepage, and my colleague is just going to drop the website info in the chat as well for you. The Future Ready Talent Program essentially helps students to upskill on in-demand technology skills, helps you to understand how these particular technology skills are being utilized in real-time industry benefits, and then finally helps you all connect to job opportunities through career fairs and recruitment drives. So the benefits are you would be standing out in comparison to your peers who have been able to not been able to do this internship. You'll have advantage of understanding how to use Microsoft Azure AI and cloud skills, and it'll help you set you apart vis-a-vis other applicants who might be applying for the same jobs. So it does help you upskill and then provides you job opportunities at the end of the internship process as well. We're also just dropping the link of the FRT homepage. So on the homepage itself, we have all the information available as well as all of the steps required for you to complete in order to complete this internship program as well. So you can take a look at the homepage and ask us any questions that you might have as well. So students, you can also raise your hands to ask any questions if you have any, or you can paste it in the chat feature, whichever one you're more comfortable with. All of us from the FRT team are available here with you till 6 p.m. so we can answer any questions that you might have. Hi, Anshul, I see you have a question. Please go ahead. You can unmute yourself and ask the question.
So, hello, good evening. My name is Anshul. I was searching for the internship, so I got with an article that it is for 2022 to 26 passed out student. So I passed in 2018. So can I? It is for me also. Can I complete this
So
internship?
Yeah, so Anshul, you can complete the FRT internship. The only thing you won't be able to access the student developer pack, which is the GitHub student developer pack, which will include the $100 free Azure credits required for you to build a project, because that particular promotion is only available to students who are currently enrolled in an institution. So while you can go through the rest of the journey, you can also create a project on your own. You just won't have access to the student developer pack. But other than that, you're fully allowed to complete the rest of the FRT internship as well.
Okay, thanks a lot for confirming me.
No
And I have
problem.
one more question.
Yeah, go
Uh,
ahead.
that when we go for the beginners session, for example, that I was searching for the Azure
Right,
beginner.
right.
Uh, so
The
the content
fundamentals.
is, yes, the fundamentals. So the
Right,
contents
right.
were in written form only. So can we found anywhere video format so that it may maybe more clarification? Like I'm a
So,
new for the
yeah.
IT,
Sure,
so
sure, sure. Understood. And just give me a second. I'm just pulling up the screen with all of the information for the self-learning journey. So essentially, our course modules are a mixture of both text as well as videos. We do have one video for, I'm just pulling that up right now. Just give me a second. For some of them, we do have additional videos that are available. We also conduct sessions for students. This happens through our Microsoft Reactor community. So, whenever we conduct these events for students, all of that information is available under the events page on the FRT website as well. So, if you go to the events section on the FRT website, all upcoming training sessions, especially around fundamentals, all get displayed over there. So you're welcome to join any of those sessions for you to gain a little bit more understanding as well if you need additional assistance as well.
okay, thanks a lot, ma'am. Thank you
No
so much.
problem. No problem. I see we have a couple of other questions. So to Hariharan's question, can you submit a group project or is it compulsory to do it individually? You can do a group project as well. It's not mandatory for it to only be individual. The only requirement is group projects can have only a maximum of 4 members, including yourself or the group representative. All of the team members also need to have been registered on the Future Ready Talent program. And all of the team members also have to accept your invitation to be a part of the group. So if you add some people into your group and they don't necessarily accept the invitation to be a part of the group, they won't automatically get added. But yes, you can 100% submit a project either in as an individual or as a group as well. Kushveer, so I see you have a question about you're unable to get the GitHub Student Developer Pack. You've raised a ticket and still nothing. Could you explain a little bit more just to let us know? Because if you have gone through the student validation process with GitHub for your GitHub Student Developer Pack, and if it's been rejected, they do share with you a reasoning for why you've been rejected as well. So if you can share that information with us, it'll just be helpful for us to understand. To Saurabh, to your question that you're a 2022 to 2026 session BTech student. So I'm guessing you mean you're going to be graduating in the year 2026. You are fully eligible to submit your project. I can see that you obviously are currently enrolled in an academic institution, which is a requirement for you to activate your student developer pack. So since you meet those criterias, you're 100% eligible to submit the project and complete your future ready talent journey as well. Question from Ax that this is your first session, so you've missed the previous ones. Ax, this is just essentially just an open office hour session. So students can come and ask questions that they might be having regarding their FRT journey. For all of our other previously recorded sessions, I'm just pasting in the chat the YouTube link for our FRT page. And you can go ahead and go onto the channel where you can see all of our previous recordings as well. But for today's session, there's nothing specific that you have missed. All that we are doing is just answering students' questions. So Hariharan, you can send messages to people if they are willing to do a group project. That's completely at your own discretion as well. So it just the only requirement is that everybody who you add in your group needs to accept the invitation to be a part of the group, and you will need that student's email address to add them to your group to do a group project as well. So you can also go ahead and do that. Kashmir, to answer that your college domain ID is not listed on Microsoft, there is a section within the Microsoft Azure for Students where they ask you to type in your institution name. And then following that, on the next page, they'll ask you to share more details regarding your institution name. So just go ahead and try that once. If not, just share with us a couple of screenshots of where it's getting stuck or where you're not able to add any additional details and share it with us on our support desk. We'll take a look at it and redirect you to any particular support group if it's still not getting resolved through that. But there is a place on the Microsoft Azure student verification registration where you just type in your institution name, even if it doesn't appear in the drop down. Then on the next page, while you're completing your registration, they'll ask for additional details of location, etc., of your institution. So you do have that option. But if you're still getting stuck, just share with us a couple of screenshots and we'll take a look at it.
Aniket, I see you raising your hand. Can you ask your question, please?
Aniket, your hand is raised. I don't know if it's accidental, but if you have a question, please go ahead and ask your question. Or if you'd like to post it on the chat, that's also fine.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi, Aniket.
Ma'am, hello, ma'am. Ma'am, can you ask to team that can they check my project as early as possible? Because my exams are starting from next week, and if they told me to do any changes, so due to lack
So,
of time
Aniket,
and due to exam, I can't able.
when did you submit your project?
I submitted on 2nd December.
2nd of December. Okay. And I think you've written to the support desk as well for your case.
Yes, I have written for that, but
Okay.
I am
Okay,
also
okay.
busy.
Then in that case, the evaluators are evaluating projects on priority basis. So they will look into it by the end of this week itself. So you should get a
Okay.
response to your particular case by the end of this week.
Ma'am, my internship deadline is also 21st December. So, and
So I think
one
you
more thing
have
that
time. Yeah, yeah.
I have used these services which consuming more credits. I
Right, right.
think my credits will expire in next week.
Okay.
Half of the
So
credits are already expired. So
got
that
it.
is one also reason for my request. And I have mail for uh, regarding to this to team. But please
Aniket?
can you reach out again?
Yeah, Aniket
Yes,
will
ma'am.
take this and will evaluate by this weekend, by today or tomorrow. Don't worry.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
And just another point, Aniket, in your project submission that you've done, in your GitHub README file, as well as in your project video that you have created and sent to us, do you mention specifically how you've utilized your Azure services through the Azure portal?
Yes, ma'am. I have
Okay,
made a video of I
okay,
think
okay,
8 minutes, and I have uploaded on YouTube also. If you
okay.
need, I can paste it in chat window
Okay, no, no,
if you.
that's okay. That's okay. We're just saying that so essentially if any students Azure credits expire before their projects can get evaluated, then we look at their README file and we look at your project video to see how you've demonstrated the usage of Azure services. So that gives us some
Yes,
clarity
ma'am.
whether you've used it. So that just checking on that.
Ma'am, I have I have created my projects and documentation according to
Okay,
that FRT guidelines.
the guidelines,
Please,
right? Okay,
but
great.
request is please check as soon as possible.
Sure, sure. No, thank you. Thank you. The team has said this. So by like today, tomorrow, they will evaluate your project as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Nuria, we do have a question from Jay Surya who wants to
Yeah, yeah.
ask if there is cybersecurity course available in FRT.
So right now, Jasurya, there's no specific cybersecurity course. We do have a course which is AZ 500, which comes under the advanced courses. This is on Azure security technologies. So this includes a lot of fundamentals that are utilized in cybersecurity as well. So you can complete that as well in your FRT journey.
Kushveer, I see you posting a few screenshots on the chat. Would you mind unmuting yourself and then asking the question?
Okay, so this is just the university ID question. Um, Okay, so Kushir, in this screenshot that you have shared, where it says school name, you've entered your school name over there, correct? Is that, I think, what? So if you can just um, can you just share these screenshots to us to the support desk? We'll just check with our internal team as well once, and then we'll revert back to you through the support ticket itself. Thank you.
Uh, yeah, Ritunjaya's question, Nuria. The GitHub developer pack is getting rejected multiple times. And am I able to, should I submit my project without the GitHub student developer pack? Can I do it?
So, Rituja, you can technically submit it, but however, you are required to use at least two core Azure services and one AI service in your project as well. So, with the GitHub Student Developer Pack, you get a free $100 Azure credits that are required for you to build your project. So, if you are able to do so without that, then by all means you can submit your project, but we just think that you might find it difficult because then you will incur a charge in creating your project, and this is supposed to be a free internship, so we don't want to advocate that there's any payment involved. That's a personal decision. But if you can also just post on the chat, like, why is your GitHub student developer pack getting rejected? Like, if you've used it in the past and it's not yet been 12 months, you won't be able to utilize it again. So if you can just share a little bit more about the reason of why you are getting rejected. We have a question from Muzamil asking that they are new here and what is the use. So this is essentially just a FRT office hours. So if you have any questions about the FRT program or the journey, you can go ahead and ask your question. So this is just an open-ended question answer session. In case you're not sure about some of the processes or the journey of the FRT platform, I'm just pasting in the chat the FRT walkthrough video. So it gives you a comprehensive end-to-end guide on how to complete your FRT journey. So for all students, you can go ahead and take a look at that video as well. So if there are any other questions, students, you can post your question in the chat, or you can also raise your hand and we'll answer your question. So to answer this question, Jay, we do provide job opportunities. FRT itself does not hire, but we will be connecting you to recruiters through job alerts and through career fairs that we run for our FRT students. We are partnered with Found It, and they run a specific freshers hiring platform called Zuno. So we do send a lot of alerts through Zuno as well to FRT graduates. So you will be connected to many job opportunities within the AI and cloud area after you've completed your internship. Yes, Ax, go ahead. I see your hand is raised.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, ma'am. It's a free internship, right?
Sorry, can you repeat your
Is
question?
it is it a free internship?
Yes, yes. So there's no payment involved. You have access to all of the learning, the industry session, as well as the GitHub Student Developer Pack, all for free. So there's no cost involved in the internship.
Okay, ma'am. So how to start this internship? And can I
Um,
start it right now?
Yes, you can start it anytime. I've posted in the chat an end-to-end platform walkthrough. So you can take a look at that video. It tells you exactly how to complete your registration process and how to complete all of the different learning milestones for you to then graduate from this program as well. So just go through that particular video. You'll get all the answers in terms of how to complete this program.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Is it
No
that
problem.
video with the title of end-to-end platform?
Correct. Correct. Yes, that's the one. Yeah, yeah.
Alex, you can put your hand down. I still see it raised.
Sure. So there's no eligibility criteria as such. If you do want to avail of the GitHub Student Developer Pack, you do need to be enrolled in an academic institution for you to gain access to the $100 free Azure credits that we provide students. But other than that, there's no other eligibility criteria. You can come from any degree or any course, and you can still complete the learning and graduate from this program. So there's no other eligibility criteria for this. So Kushveer, just please send all of this information to our support desk. We're just pasting the email on that. Just share all of your screenshots over there, please. Munzabil, I'm just sharing with you where you can go exactly. Just go on to this particular web page, click on it. You'll see a sign in button on the top. Click on sign in, and then you can continue the rest of the registration process. After you've completed your registration process, the first step will be your user profile details, where we're going to ask you questions regarding your academic details as well as internship details. And we'll also ask you to complete a mobile verification process. After you've completed these mandatory steps, then you'll have access to the self learning as well as industry pages. And then finally, the project page that you have to submit in the end. So just click on the website www.futurereadytalent.in, and over there you can go ahead and complete the sign in process. So yes, Jaisurya, everything, it is a virtual internship program. So everything in this entire journey is virtual and available to you on demand. So, students, if you have any other questions, you can raise your hand. Not just about like the FRT registration, but even if you have questions regarding your project or any specific place where you're stuck in the FRT journey, we also have our evaluators with us on the call. So you can also ask questions on that as well. So, Ax, do you have mentors to guide us during this internship? So, we conduct regular weekly mentoring sessions for all students. So, you can join in any of those sessions. We conduct them every Wednesday, and you would be getting email notifications regarding that. For any topics that have previously been covered, you can check our YouTube page, our YouTube channel, the FRT YouTube channel, which has been posted already in the chat. You can go through all of the information available over there in all of our previously recorded sessions as well. Munzabil, if you have already completed your graduation, you can still be a part of the Future Ready Talent program. The only thing that you won't be able to avail is the GitHub Student Developer Pack, which contains the $100 free Azure credits, because that's only available to students who are currently enrolled in an institution. But aside from that, you have access to all other learning and all other requirements, milestones you can complete on the FRT program as well. No problem. So, Aditi, to answer your question, you have to you have to add a minimum of one AI service. So just to check, Aditi, have you already submitted your project? And if so, what date did you submit your project? If you could just help us answering that. Okay, if you have not yet. So for any student who has not yet submitted their project and they'll be submitting for the first time, you need to now have one AI service and two core Azure service in your project for you to then get your project approved. Um, you can add AI services. We've been conducting lots of AI mentoring sessions on this very topic every Wednesday. So I can share with you the playlist of all of the previously recorded AI mentoring sessions. You can go through that. All of the information is over there as well for you to go through. And just in case, Chaitanya, in case there's anything from yours or Akhila's side, if you'd like to assist the student on how to integrate an AI service in their project.
Aditi? Aditi, you have plenty of AI services that are available with Azure, like a health bot or text-based services, and even image processing. Based on your project requirement, you can choose any one of the services, and then you can integrate it with your project. Then you can submit for the FRT evaluation. Refer to our existing sessions that have happened for FRT AI integration, and you'll get a good idea of what kind of service that you have to add to your project.
So Aditi, those are so while it's Azure is the overarching umbrella term, we have Azure AI services and we have Azure core services. So what we are asking for is that within the Azure service umbrella, there are certain services that fall under Azure AI services. So as Akila was mentioning, for example, chatbot, it's an AI service. So you can integrate as a result a chatbot into your project as well. That will be counted as an AI service that you've added. So when you're completing your project synopsis as well, under the drop down that you see, you'll see a full list of all of the available services that will come under either core Azure services or those that will come under AI service. So even the AI service are all Azure linked because Azure is the umbrella term for all Microsoft technologies on this. No problem. Students, if you have any other questions, feel free, raise your hand, or you can post it on the chat, and we'll be happy to answer. Yes, Munzammil, to answer your question, if you don't have a student developer pack, you can still complete a project and submit it. We do provide $100 free Azure credits to students who are currently enrolled, but it can also be bought on a paid requirement if you require it. This is a free program for students who are currently enrolled, but you still have access in order to complete your FRT journey. You just won't be able to access the student developer pack itself. So, Kushveer, the deadline for you is written on your internship cubicle on the top of your FRT screen. Every deadline is unique to every student. So, you get 80 days, 80 days from the date you registered to complete your Future Ready Talent journey. So, keep in mind that the deadline date is not the date that you're supposed to submit your project. Keep at least a 15-day buffer between when you submit your project and your actual deadline date. That way, when you submit your project, in case there's any rejection or you have to make any improvements, there's enough time for you to go and make any resubmissions. So students can get 5 attempts to submit your project. So utilize that in the best way. All of your deadlines are written on your particular FRT screen. So it's not linked to a particular batch itself. It's everyone has a unique deadline date. Anjali, there's no particular problem statement of the project. That's something we're asking you to come up with. So all you have to do is make sure that you align your project under any of the 5 industries that we have outlined. It can be either fintech, earth, edtech, health, or lifestyle. And you can create any project as long as it falls under any of these 5 industries. But there's no other problem statement that we will be providing. Yes, so Munzabil, the job opportunities and alerts we send are linked to all of the learnings that are on the FRT portal. So we share job alerts that are linked to Microsoft Cloud and Microsoft AI, as well as even within the career fairs that we organize every year. They're all centered around AI and cloud hiring as well. So it's directly linked to the skills that you would have developed through the FRT journey. So students, go ahead. You can feel free to ask any questions. We have about uh, 20 minutes left of this particular session. You can either raise your hands or continue to ask on the chat, whatever you're most comfortable with. We all are here to help answer your questions. So to the student who's just posted in the chat that your deadline has lapsed, Soumyanath, please write to our support desk with your particular reasoning as to why you require an extension. Just note that we don't give a very long time for the extension. So if you still have access to your FRT account, you can still go through all of the learnings, but your deadline extension will only be for a maximum of 1 week. So just keep that in mind when you're asking for an extension. My recommendation would be to complete all of the learning and then reach out to support with a valid reason as to why you're asking for a deadline extension, and then get your deadline date changed. But I'm just posting in the chat what is our support alias's name. So students, we have the last 15 minutes left of the session. If you have any questions, including regarding your project, or if you're unsure about your project submission status, etc., we also have our project evaluators with us on the call. So you can also ask them for any questions. But otherwise, please raise your hand or post your questions in the chat, and we will answer that. So Digvijay, yes, you can still access the $100 Azure credits. You renewed the Azure credits every 12 months. So if you had enrolled it in your second year and now you're in your final year, I'm guessing at least 12 months might have passed between that time. So as long as you have a 12-month gap, you're fully eligible to renew your $100 Azure credits. So, Munzamil, just go through our end-to-end video that we have of the platform. It'll tell you exactly how to complete your registration. After you've completed your registration, you'll automatically be redirected to our user profile section where you have to complete some mandatory fields regarding your academic details and internship details. Only after you complete those particular fields will you then be able to navigate to any of the self-learning pages. So I'm sharing again in the chat the link to our end-to-end platform navigation. Just go through this video and all of your questions should get answered on that. So, Anjali, to answer your question about how you can make your project or what are the modules you should include, this is completely up to your discretion. We have provided you an entire comprehensive guide of different courses, both under Fundamentals, Advanced, and GitHub. Recommendation is that on the self-learning tab, we do have the GitHub courses. While it's a non-mandatory field, we do recommend you complete that course, especially if you've never completed a project on GitHub before, because it gives you essentially a guide on how to start and create your project. So your project can be on anything of your liking, as long as it relates to any of the 5 industries that are selected for you on the project page. This is essentially this is either Earth, health, lifestyle, fintech, or edtech. And you can align your project to any one of those. So you can go ahead. You can also take a look at we have an FRT YouTube channel, which has a list of all of our project mentoring sessions. You can go through all of the project mentoring session playlist, and you'll be able to get a sense of all frequently asked questions around project creation that some of our Microsoft trainers have assisted us in completing. So you can just go ahead. I'm just pasting it in the chat as well. So Munzimil, now you have to complete your learning. So you have to go through the Fundamentals, Advanced, and GitHub courses. This is where all of the learning is. You can choose whichever bucket you want to start with. That's up to your own choice. But our recommendation is that you start with Fundamentals and then do Advanced and then GitHub. Yes, so Aditi, to answer your question, that should be enough since you have 2 core Azure services. You mentioned static web apps and a cloud server. Can you just elaborate what cloud server, uh, specifically which service that is? And if you add the health bot, that would cover your AI service as well. So Somnath, as I mentioned, um, you have to write to our support desk. Because your project deadline has expired, you need to write to our support desk asking for an extension and a valid reason why you're asking for an extension. So, as I already mentioned in your case, uh, since you haven't done any of the learnings, my recommendation is for you to first complete all of your learnings and then ask for an extension because you won't get an extension of more than 5 days. So, if you're not ready to submit your project, that 5 day extension will be meaningless. And we do not repeatedly give extensions for deadlines. It's a one-time um, allowance that we'll allow students if you have a valid enough reason. So Prajwal, you can complete it individually as well. It's not a requirement for you to submit a group project. It can be either an individual or a group project. So Aditi, my recommendation would be to submit your project with these three services. Also, make sure in your GitHub README file you have screenshots of your Azure portal and all of the services that you've used, and explain to us, even in your project demo video, how you have utilized these services and the relevancy of these services to your project. So, as long as you can explain all of these details, and all of the links and content on your project are your own work and it's not copied or duplicated, it should be fine. So you can go ahead and submit it as long as you're using a minimum of these three services in your project. So students, we have about 7 minutes left of today's session. So if you have any questions, please do post it on the chat, or you can raise your hand and we'll ask you to come off on mute to ask your question. So Aditi, for your project video URL, it doesn't necessarily have to be posted on YouTube. You can use whichever screen recording or video recording platform you are most comfortable with. So it's completely dependent on you and access to whichever platform you have. So students, we have the last few minutes left of our office hours. In case you have any last questions for any of us on the team. Um, just a couple of quick highlights of the FRT program, because I noticed these are some questions that are coming up quite frequently. You are required to submit a project which includes two core Azure services and one AI service. So a minimum of one AI service needs to be included in your projects. Your project, the deadline date that you see on your FRT portal is not the date for you to submit your project. You have to submit your project much before that. Do keep in mind, after you submit your project, it can take up to a maximum of 15 days for evaluations to take place. And we do also give all of you 5 attempts to submit your project successfully. So if I go ahead and I submit my project one day before my deadline date, and then I get a response that my project has been rejected because of, I didn't use all my Azure services correctly, I will not have the opportunity to resubmit because my deadline date would have passed, which is why we do recommend you leave a gap of at least 15 to 20 days when you submit your project from your deadline date, so that it gives you enough time in case you have to do any resubmissions. So just do keep that in mind as well. For all of your learnings, we have bucketed all of the self-learning through Fundamentals, Advanced, and GitHub. While GitHub is not a mandatory course, we do recommend that you do go through it, especially if this is going to be your first time creating a project on GitHub. The other reason we do ask you to go through the GitHub course as well is that your project will finally be hosted on a GitHub repository. So it does provide you with that additional information. All students who have completed their user profile automatically receive an email from us with details on how to claim your GitHub Student Developer Pack. The $100 free Azure credits that you get to create your project come under the GitHub Student Developer Pack. So as long as you're a student who is currently enrolled in a university or institute and can verify your academic credentials, you will gain access to the Student Developer Pack. That being said, it's not necessary for you to complete your project. If you don't have access to the Student Developer Pack, you can still go ahead and do so. The only issue is that you won't have access to the $100 free credits. So that is something you will have to do on your own. Projects can be either individual or group projects. For group projects, all members of the group need to be registered on FRT and they need to accept the invite to be a part of the group project. If a group member doesn't accept the invite or they are not a part of FRT and under a registered email address, you won't be able to add them to your group. All other recordings that we have previously done for all of our AI mentoring sessions, for all of our project mentoring sessions, as well as our end-to-end platform walkthrough session as well. All of those details can be found on our FRT YouTube channel. It has a bunch of playlists and it's been segregated based on the content that you're looking for. So we do request you to go through all of that information because sometimes some of the answers that you're looking for can be found very easily on any of our videos. So we do recommend you do that. If and when you have any questions regarding your FRT journey, you can always write to our support desk. It's support@futurereadytalent.in. And our support team will be happy to answer any questions that you might have or any difficulties that you're facing around your FRT journey as well. So with that, we're down to the last minute of today's session. If there's anyone who would like to ask one final question, otherwise we will wrap up today's session. We will have another AI mentoring session next week, Wednesday, 6:30 to 7:30, and we'll have one final FRT office hour session next Thursday, same time, 5 to 6, after which we will break for a winter break and we will resume again in January. So do be on the lookout and check your emails for updated meeting links for each of the sessions next week as well. Okay, great. Since there seems to be no last questions, thank you, students, for joining today's office hours. I hope it was helpful for all of you who had questions or for those of you who were learning through other people's questions as well. Appreciate your time. Do be on the lookout for next week's sessions. We will be sharing that communication with you by Monday. And as and when, if you have any questions, do write to us at support@futurereadytalent.in and we will answer any of your questions. So thank you, students. With that, the session is closed for today. Thank you, Chaitanya, Akhila, and Vaishnavi as well for joining today's call. Thank you and have a good rest of the evening.
Thank you, Nuria.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Thank you. Thanks, Maria.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
जाने वो कैसी होगी रे